Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Splinterlands Town Hall. It is Thursday, the 14th of March, and we're happy to be here again with all of you. As usual, on the call, we have investigator who's going to give us the technical update, what's going out, what has gone out, all that good stuff. We have Nate the Great, who is going to give us the creative update. Then I'll come over and do my usual babbling on for a while about all the different things going on, coming up, what we think of them, and then we will jump into questions. We have the kind of pre-sorted questions that people have posted earlier on since the last town hall, and then we will take questions from the community. One little kind of housekeeping item I wanted to mention is that I am not going to be available in 2 weeks, which is when the next town hall is scheduled on March 28th. So we are going to work with the team and figure out if we are going to reschedule that or what we're going to do for the next town hall. But so just keep a watch on Discord announcements, and we will let everybody know what's going to be going on with that. Without further ado, though, I would like to turn it over to Investigator for his update.
Good morning, everybody. So I guess we'll start with the update we just did, since that was kind of a opportunity to apply some brawl changes in between the brawl cycles. So we applied the changes to make any unfilled brawls a loss for the people that did not fill them. If their opponent filled them, they get a win, which was a past proposal. We also made some changes to address match liquidity in Champion. So essentially anyone inside Champion League can get matched with anyone else inside Champion League. Below Champion, there is the 1,000 rating maximum difference that it will pair you up with. There were also a couple of issues that we addressed with blind and weaken not getting cleared properly when units get resurrected. There's a couple of land issues that were fixed. The credits page got moved over to the new client as we continue to try to shift different parts of the website over, which seems to have gone pretty well. As far as I know, we haven't had any issues with that. There were also some additional fixes with the non-card market had a couple of issues that got corrected with some things not showing up. We added some additional details into the notifications that were added for delegations ending and rentals ending. We're also going to look at making those disableable since people have asked for that to be an option, but that may not be for an update or two. And there's also a lot of other fixes. We added Games on the Block as a new third-party market who is offering some new rental services, kind of one-click bulk rentals, which is a nice feature that we're also looking at implementing on our end in a little different fashion. So that was pretty much what happened earlier in the week, at least the high points of it. We are also going to be doing an update this upcoming Tuesday, the 19th, because we've got the next conflict coming up. So we will need to put out the next conflict card so it can cycle over and the art and images for that. There are a number of other items that should be going out as well. So we have another new rule set going out. We're trying to get about one out a month and have been doing pretty good about that. I'll let Nate share the artwork, and I think people will probably be able to guess off the artwork what it is. But
yeah, I'll put it in right now while you're talking about it. There we go.
We're making some changes to the maintenance page, so it should hopefully be clearer when the game is actually a maintenance versus when you don't have a connection to the server. We're adding some more messaging onto that screen, so a lot of people come into Discord saying, "Hey, how come the game's down?" And the game's not down. You personally may not have a good connection to the server right now, and hopefully it'll be a little bit clearer that you're just having problems connecting to the server, not the server actually being in maintenance. There's a couple house cleaning items that we are looking at doing on the next update as well. We're going to add tracking for the vouchers and dark energy crystals that are burnt for energy. Right now, there's not any tracking accounts set up, and we're going to have to spend some time back populating that since it wasn't originally done when purchasing energy got added. We are going to be shifting off tournament prizes to a new escrow account just to make it less confusing, not using the same account for holding tokens for multiple purposes. There are a couple other small fixes. We're pulling out the low power, low rating icon that got added to indicate that you had fallen into a lower leaderboard. Since there's not separate leaderboards anymore, that icon doesn't really make sense. So it will just show what league you're currently in. We're making a bunch of internal improvements. There's continued work on the non-card market. We've been using a third layer of caching, or an extra layer of caching that is costly and not needed for how many items we have listed in our non-card market. When we originally developed it, we massively over-engineered it for the amount of things that we're selling. So we're scaling that back, which should be cost savings for the company. We're making some slight tweaks to team creation to make it a little easier to see what the cards are that you have selected on your team. I believe if you hover over them, the card will pop up without you having to go find it on the full collection of cards that are available. And we are redoing the affiliate payment UI to be a scrolling list, which kind of ties into we're trying to make improvements to how we pull data to make it faster, more efficient, and lower cost. So that's the next week. There may be some additional items. We'll see what gets through QA and what gets done. The main point of the update is really going to be the new conflicts, because that is our last scheduled time to deploy the third conflict information out to the server. And we're trying to get better about posting updates in Discord. I made a couple events for the next couple of updates just so that there's a little. I know we post in the Tech Updates channel usually the day before, but since we already know when our next couple updates are, I've posted those. So looking past the 19th, we have an update scheduled for the 2nd. People will probably notice tomorrow that the next season is going to be longer than usual. So we are pushing out the last season of March to end on April 2nd, right before we would normally do the update. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to roll out the new reward system immediately following the end of season. So we are looking at doing the new reward shop, reward system on the 2nd. That is going to be the major feature going out then. And I think Matt wants to talk a little bit more about that in detail since we won't be having a town hall before then. That's the update plans for the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, investigator. So as usual, a ton of stuff going on. And we are trying to, the team is doing a good job of getting in also like a lot of little changes here and there, which I think is a good balance of that. So before I go into my spiel. Nate, how's things going on creative, and is there anything you want to share with us?
Oh, definitely. And we're rocking and rolling, having fun, juggling quite a bit, as you guys already know. So I'm trying to think where to start. So I will say I'll ride investigators' coattails and all the little things happening. Someone put in the chat just a little bit ago. They noticed the little change to the homepage, which I'm pretty excited about. I think last town hall I showed little snippets of the graphic. Let me find it. I have it here somewhere. I'm pretty pleased with it. We wanted to create some artwork that best demonstrate our core gameplay, which is you're a battle mage, you're using these enchanted cards that are swirling around you, you're summoning manifestations, you're in an arena, and you're using elemental magic. And we took all of these concepts and ideas, and I challenged the art team, hey, if you had to create something that best reflected what it is that our core gameplay is about, how would you visualize that? What would that look like? Um, and so say they're able to pull that off. And I'm very pleased with it. I think it's very cool. I can't wait to start. I think we already started putting it in the little banners for our social media channels. Not all of them yet, but you'll notice that some of them have already switched over to that banner, our homepage. We'll probably go to the DAP tracking sites and start, uploading new imagery. Some of that stuff is a little stale, a little old. So I'm in contact with, DAP Radar and folks like that. And we're so little by little, we're going to be like switching things over. So hopefully, take that wallpaper, go to town with it, share it, put it on your laptop or whatever. So there's that. What else we got going on? Land, that's one of the balls in the air. Land, I think every town hall I try to share at least one building, one something. I think last week, what did I share? I think I shared a sketch of the soul extractor building. So I'll share a more rendered version so you can see, like, oh, I want to get one of those. Those look cool. Get that on my land. So here's an image of a soul extractor building. It looks pretty menacing. Kind of like you can tell it has something to do with death magic, right? So definitely, I can't wait to get one of those on my land personally. People come visit me and they're like, oh, and then they run away because it looks so scary. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, before I go any further, I wanted to bring up what Lilyfire brought up in the chat just a little bit ago, which is big hats off to Axler Twinblade of Baron's Toolbox. They did help freshen up the support site. I know a lot of folks have been like, "Hey, get Axler involved somehow," and that's actually been one of the things that creatives like, when we have time, we'll come over there and help. And it's like it always kind of takes a back seat to higher priority items. We never quite get to it. And here comes Axer Twinblade to the rescue, the hero on his white horse to come help freshen up how the support side of things looks like. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And so visually speaking, I think that's gone a long ways. What else can we talk about? Another ball that we have up in the air is Matt will talk about this later, but part of the revamp to the league experience and the rewards. I'm not going to get into the mechanics or the technical aspects. I'll let Matt do that. But for just art, just for fun, I'll share with you guys some of what the art team has created, which you'll see on the shop page for the upcoming reward shop, where you take all these reward points, which we're calling glint, and I'll get into that. But you'll be able to see an arena shop. Right now, we're thinking the merchant's name will be Guinea. And so here is an image of that. And for those of you with a keen eye, you'll see maybe some Easter eggs here and there. I won't get into what the Easter eggs are. Maybe we'll have a little contest. How many Easter eggs can you spot? Can you name all the different things that are in this image that are Splinterlands specific? But yeah, take a look at that. Use that. I think it's beautiful. It has a sense of character and personality, and you'll be seeing that as the backdrop to the new reward shop that's coming up. And then speaking of reward shop, right now we're thinking that using the term reward points, using the acronym RP, we don't need more acronyms. So we were thinking that I know everyone's like, we don't need more currencies, Nate. Well, it's not really a new currency. It's more like just changing the name of the existing point system is basically what we're proposing. So we imagine you win these battles, and then you're rewarded by the powers that be with these little bright pinpoints of light, which we'll call glint, magical pinpoints of light, these glints. And these glints kind of collect and coalesce and end up in this little glint stone, which you carry around with you, maybe on a pendant or in your satchel or wherever you like to keep this glint stone, this magical enchanted orb. And that's where your glint goes. And when you go to the glint shop, then the merchant's able through magic to identify, based upon how bright or dim your orb is, how much glint you own, and an exchange is made, and maybe your orb gets a little duller as a result. But here is an image of a glint stone, which again it's more about the storytelling, it's more about the narrative of what's going on. But I think that's cool. I think that adding a story to as many elements of the game as possible just injects a sense of soul in our game, and I don't think that's a bad thing. So take that as you will. Just more little fun work that's happening on in regards to the league revamp and the upcoming reward system. Let's see what else we got. Another ball in the air isn't just that; it's also the onboarding experience. And we have a lot of artwork that's being made, and I'll share some more of it in future town halls because it's so cool. It's pretty darn cool. The art team and the narrative team. There's so many people involved in making our world just breathe life into it, and have the player immersed in this world as they're onboarding into our ecosystem. But one of the pieces of artwork that caught my eye, which I was like, that's cool, is I challenged the art team. I said, hey, look, some of this background artwork, give me a reason why I shouldn't just use AI for this stuff. Like, show me a reason why this is special, that only a human being with creative talent and a narrative team and all this can pull this off and make the players feel like, yeah, this is something I can connect with. This is supports and grows our IP. Give me that. And so when I look at some of this artwork now, I'm like, yes, you're doing it. So here's an example of one of the academy classrooms, a location that you'll experience during your onboarding process. So it's an academy classroom. You'll notice there's some students who are learning about the ins and outs of battle magery, how to survive in the arena, whatnot. But you'll notice there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in this picture. There's the lore book or spell book sitting on the table. There's some cards that maybe you recognize the card backs. You'll notice that up on the chalkboard or even on the desk, there's the monster teeth logos that represent battle mages. There's even a rune system that Joey, our narrative lead, helped create. Like those runes on the chalkboard aren't just lines we scribbled on there; they actually mean stuff. So it's really cool to see the world come to life, and I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to kind of introduce new and old players alike into this world, because we've had a lot of fun building it, and a lot of that building has gotten a little ignored or put to the side or hasn't been quite integrated into the gameplay like I would like, and now it's happening. So it's pretty awesome. Let's see, do I have anything else? How about okay, so I was talking to Matt right before this town hall saying, is it too early to talk about the next conflict card after this next conflict? So right now we have Kai coming out. It's about to drop in about a week or so. And so when Kai drops, there's going to be a new conflict card to you're going to contribute towards the effort in hopes that at the end of that conflict you get that character. So considering the fact that Matt's going to miss the next town hall, and the fact that it's going to be a while before we get to talk to you guys, I'll at least share the artwork at first. So here is your first introduction to Venka the Vile. And she's quite the vile villain, working on behalf of the Chaos Legion to oppress the people of the land. And as there's an upcoming article where Joey and Dan, they just went nuts. The narrative team just went nuts on this article. So there's a lot of storytelling in this article that introduces this character. But so I encourage everyone to read it because I feel like it's going to further immerse you into the world, further make conflicts feel more engaging, more exciting. So once that conflict turns over, there'll be a button to learn more, and it's going to go to that article where you can read about Venka the Vile. What makes her tick? What's her personality? What's her background? And then Matt, I'll leave it up to you. I did check while we were beginning the town hall. I was checking around. I'm pretty sure these stats are legit, but if you want to hold off, or we could just, like you said, give a disclaimer, or how do you?
I'm always all for showing everybody and being open in the process with the disclaimer, as always, that things are subject to change until the actual release. So if we have something that seems at least pretty finalized at this point, yeah, let's show
All right.
the community.
All right, so here we go. Here
Unless
are
the community doesn't want to see it, then
yeah, that's
if
true.
they
We should
want us
take
to
a
keep it a
vote.
secret,
If
then
you
that's
do
fine.
not want to see the stats, please look away. Please stop your video. Go do something else. A
They might
fair
be
warning.
they'll melt your face, just like
Yeah.
in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, and it might, because when I looked at the final stats, I was like, holy crap, is this OP? Like, I don't know. But it is definitely going to get people's juices flowing. So here you go. Venka the Vile in all her glory. Here is a max level version of the card. You'll notice that the attack and the mana cost are the same, which is always something I look for in a team. Is, can I get as much bang in my buck as far as attack power from the mana I'm putting in? But on top of that, you'll notice a pretty decent speed. She could take a hit, no armor, but she could take a hit. I don't think she'll be one shot most of the time. And then you'll notice that there's a interesting synergy of abilities there at the bottom. One of which is a new ability, guys. It's called Charge. And if the little icon doesn't give away or give you an idea what Charge is, it's basically this beast of a guard can attack from any position with her melee attack, and she attacks the tank position. So I will let the other abilities speak for themselves, but essentially that's just crazy. That's monstrous. Again, disclaimer: anything subject to change. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it's too monstrous. You guys, give your comments. Let us know how you feel about it, and then if you want to know, as far as the level to level finer details, this is what it looks like so far, currently right now on our test server. So feel free to take a look at that. And I think that's I'll end on a high note. I think that's plenty to share for now. So thanks a bunch, guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Nate. And yeah, as always, we do internal play testing for a little while before the new cards are released. So we'll see how it goes. Our goal generally, I think it's good overall to make cards that seem very OP and that are really good, especially in certain situations, as long as they're not like just super amazing in every situation. So I think that makes the game more fun and exciting, and also, encouraging people to actually get the different cards and know when to use them. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for this card, just like all the other cards we've been putting out. All right, so I have a whole list of things here to talk about. I'll start with what Investigator kind of mentioned, is that the ranked reward changes that we have been talking about are scheduled to go live on April 2nd, which is in about 2.5 weeks. And we are going to extend the next ranked season, so it ends that morning Eastern time before the update goes out. So the update will start for the following season. We don't have like a half season weird situation. So we'll get a couple more days on the next season. And I'll talk about the rank reward changes. I know I've mentioned it a little bit in the past, but the idea is that instead of just directly earning chests like you do now, the reward points that you get in battles, they'll be the same calculation. You'll earn the same amount of reward points as you do now. We're going to be renaming them to Glint, with that cool Glint stone orb thing that Nate shared and talked about. So every time you win a battle, you will get that amount of glint, and then you'll be able to take that over to the new reward shop and decide what you would like to purchase with it. So instead of getting random chests that you kind of have no control over, you'll get to decide from a bunch of available options. And initially the options will be relatively small, basically most of the same things that you can currently get now in the chests. But our plan is to make that easily updatable. So in the future, as we add cosmetics and as we add land, phase 2 and beyond, and as we add new things, we can just always constantly and easily add new stuff into the reward shop for people to buy. So I think this will give a cool additional thing to the game for players to think about and decide. So the main thing is you'll be able to purchase uh reward cards. It'll still be random reward cards, and you'll be able to buy like effectively a bronze chest up through a champion chest. They might have different names than chests, but that will guaranteed to have the soulbound reward cards. And obviously with the higher level ones, having higher chances of getting legendaries and gold foils and all that stuff. All the details will be published in a post when it gets a little closer to the launch, and they'll be available on the website also for people to see, for those who are interested in doing all the spreadsheeting and all that. So if you want reward cards, you can choose to get only reward cards. If you want something else, including like potions, what other things are we going to have here? Should get this ready off the top of my head. You'll be able to purchase potions directly with your glint. You will be able to purchase more energy with your glint. So if you want to just roll over your rewards into being able to play more, to maybe move up in rankings faster, try to get higher on the leaderboard if you're up in champion, you can do that. We are also planning, although the details are not finalized, of allowing people to purchase merits with glint, because you can currently get merits in your reward chest now, and we just want to make sure the math works out, and that uh, we probably limit the amount that people can purchase. And then we also are going to have at launch a few limited edition titles that will be very expensive in glint. And these will be the only items currently in the first version of the reward shop that will be tradable or sellable and have value. Um, and those are going to be the type of things for like really the top players, who may have extra glint that they would want to spend, or even lower level players could decide if they want to save up their glint. That's another cool thing that you could do that you couldn't in the past. Is now, if you want, no matter what level you are and how much glint you're getting, you can save it up across seasons and make a larger purchase after a while if you choose. And that'll be an interesting situation also, because we've talked about the plans to release a new soulbound reward card set sometime this summer. Is our current goal for that. So players who might have a bunch of the soulbound reward cards already may choose to save up their glint for the next few months in order to get a head start on that new set of soulbound reward cards. So these are all kind of new considerations you'll be able to take. And I really look forward to adding a whole bunch of new stuff. So again, if you've gotten all the reward cards you want, hopefully we're going to have some cosmetics and just cool other things that you can show off. With Land 2.0, I'd like to add some things into the white paper that will, be available for rewards in the reward shop, and just like give people like tons of options to decide, how they want to spend their rewards from playing. So April 2nd. 2.5 weeks, not that far out. Really looking forward to that going live, and and then increasing the amount of things you can buy over time. Once that is live, the next focus for the kind of player experience project and team is going to be the one-click scent rentals that we have been talking about for quite a long time. So again, for anyone who hasn't listened to me talk about it before, I think this is a really important thing for new players coming into the game, especially, is just giving them a single one button they can click and just rent a full deck of all the cards they need to kind of get off to a good start in bronze leagues. They don't have to like go to the market, figure out which cards they want and how to rent individual ones. It's just like, hey, you bought a spell book, you got some credits, click this one button, and you kind of have everything you need to go for the whole next season. I think that's a major thing that we're going to need before we really can get a large amount of new players in here. And then after one-click set rentals are in place, then we're going to be really working on implementing the onboarding experience that Nate and the creative team have been making. And so that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle, in my opinion. That and also the mobile app, which we're kind of working on just in parallel behind the scenes of updating the entire site to the new like tech modernization client, which will allow us to have a mobile friendly version that we can wrap into a mobile app. So those things together, kind of, in my opinion, get us to the point where I think it would make sense for us to really start pushing the marketing and promotion really hard, which again, we've never really done ever in the history of the game. So, if we have an experience where new people come in through mobile or desktop, they have an awesome onboarding experience with the whole thing that the creatives team's putting together to teach them about the game. And then once they get into like ranked battles, they can just click a button and get a full set of cards relatively cheaply to play, which I also hope will really encourage the rental market volume and make rental prices higher over time. That's kind of like high level. That is like really the plan to grow this game uh, into hopefully the next bull market. Is to do that. And if that works out, then we just go and we market and promote everywhere possible. And I do look to expand. I am looking to expand the team at some point later in the year when we get closer to that to really put a good marketing and promotional team in place internally to lead that. So that's something hopefully we can look forward to because I'm certainly not the one to be leading that charge. I want to get someone really good. And we've had, I've talked to a number of people, some within the community, some without, who are potentially interested. We'll find someone who's a really good fit to just like heavily promote this game uh, in in all the different spaces. The next thing I want to talk about that I've also mentioned before is a promo card event for the Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is coming up in about a month. I think it's currently estimated for April 17th or so. So right around that time, we are hoping to put out a promo card event. It's we don't have a ton of time, so we'll see what we can get out there. But one of the things I would like to do. So initially, the thinking was, I put together obviously like a business plan for the company, which includes estimates of selling Rebellion packs, but it also included other events like promo card sales that we've done in the past that go into our projected revenue, things that we show to investors and things like that. So initially, the plan was just we were going to do, 4 or 5 promo card sales throughout the year. The halving promotion would be the first one. And that would just bring in revenue for the company. You pay in DEC or credits, and the company gets revenue. Obviously, any of the DEC brought in, the company effectively sells through market purchases. We take in credits and we pay out DEC for things like that. So effectively, like the company takes in DEC, we slowly sell that off through the market, through that like conversion process, and that's fine. What I would prefer to do as a player, an SPS holder, and community member, though, is to do more of a similar thing like we did for the Rebellion series, where so I do plan to put up a DAO proposal if the community is interested to hire Steam Monsters Corporation to build this, and then have it be a situation where the DAO pays us, so we get the revenue that we need and that we're expecting. But then all the tokens that are spent would just be burned. So it would be only DEC, like DEC, DECB, and then a voucher component, and those would all be burned. In my opinion, that would lead us to a situation where it's a large net positive for the value of the tokens in the ecosystem, in the sense that likely more tokens would be burned than the funds paid out to Splinterlands. And since the funds, would be in stable coins, it's like the DAO would effectively spend its stable coins to burn far more value than that in tokens. Versus the alternative is that we just do a straight promo card sale where we take in DEC and then slowly convert it to the cash that we need over time. So, look out for that proposal to be published pretty soon. Um, in my opinion, again, as a player, like from the company's perspective, I expect we would actually make more in revenue if we just did a straight promo card sale. But I think overall for the ecosystem and the long-term value, I think it'd be much better to take somewhat less money from the DAO in order to burn more tokens that goes directly into asset prices. So ultimately, it'll be up to the SPS token holders, all of you, to decide which way you want to go on that one. And we'll be fine with whatever decision you make. But the plan at a high level, which you'll see more details about in the proposal, is to actually do 2 promo cards. And so we were going to do 2 promo cards and 5 different promo card sales over the course of a year. So basically 2 promo cards from each of the 5 basic elements for 10 in total. I think we're planning to have them be all multi or dual element units. So I guess if there's 10 in total and they're all dual element, then each element would have 2, or each element would have 4 cards that would be part of that element. And one would probably be legendary and the other one would be rare, similar to the Grimbarden Smith and Mantaroth. So that again would lead to an opportunity for, people who want to spend more can get the legendaries. People who want to spend less, they'll have the opportunity to participate. And we would do something where if you purchase the cards and you're burning tokens to purchase the cards, then there'd also be leaderboards and like other random chance prizes and things that you could get on top of your purchase of the promo card. So again, keep an eye out for the proposal with all the details in the next few days. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up for that and just let the community know how I think of that and why we are putting forth this proposal. Rather than just doing a straight sale for company revenue. Next thing I wanted to mention, which a few people have asked about here and there, is SPS validators. So that's something that, a lot of work had been done on last year. It kind of stopped pretty much in September when we had to downsize and restructure the company. But starting in Q2, within the next month or so, the plan internally is to put a small team back on getting SPS validators live with like a very clear and set goal of actually getting it done this year, if not even a little earlier than end of the year. I personally, that's one of the things that it like unfortunately does not bring in any like short-term revenue or potentially even longer-term revenue directly. I just think that's an incredibly important thing to get going. And then I know there's been a lot of proposals and talk about getting SPS listed on exchanges like Binance and Coinbase, which obviously I am for. I don't think we can just pass a proposal and then that means Binance or Coinbase is going to list the token. But I think and I think a lot of the things that will make it difficult for us to get the token listed are things like how it's structured, and that there's like kind of this, it's on Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum, and then there's also the in-game portion and like how it's held, where the like on Binance Smart Chain, for example, where the most of the data comes from, the vast majority of the tokens are just held in this one wallet, and those represent the tokens that are held in game. So that doesn't look great to larger exchanges that are looking at this token and trying to understand it. So I think if we really want a good chance of getting larger exchange listings, having our own SPS validator system live, where we can show it as a decentralized open source system that manages this token, and that's where all the data comes from. And then it's very clear that like the BNB Smart Chain and Ethereum tokens are just wrapped tokens, but so the official data comes from the SPS validators. I think that's going to go a really long way into the overall validity of this token in the market and getting us listings. So, it's not that I don't want these listings. I just realistically think these are the things we need to do to get them done. And that's going to be a big focus of at least a developer or two internally to get that done this year, come hell or high water, so to speak. So then I kind of saved the bigger topics that the community's been discussing that I also wanted to talk about for last here, and that's the whole bots, battle helpers in modern, and match liquidity issues and things coming up with all the changes we've put into place recently with the ranked battle system. And then once I'm done talking about that, we'll get into questions. So if you have any questions on any of the stuff myself or anyone else has talked about, get them ready, and the open questions will be live soon. So first of all, as most of you know, we kind of did an overhaul of the ranked battle system at the end of last season, about 2 weeks ago. Um, as I kind of cautioned everyone initially, it is going to take some time to settle in. So we are in that period. It has been a little chaotic. We, I can't say we didn't try to warn you. Um, my expectation is that over the next, like this is just the first season, but over the next season and the next 2 weeks, things will calm down a little more, and then we'll be able to see where, if the actual issues are that we might need to address. And then we're also, doing the kind of overhaul of the ranked rewards on April 2nd, so that might change things too. So, we need a little time, and players may have to be patient, which I know isn't always the strongest suit of our community. But ultimately, again, I want to be very careful not to rush and then make bad decisions. I believe we've done that in the past a lot. So even if things aren't working out so well, I want to take some time, let things play out, really, really look at what's going on in detail before deciding to make any changes. I think that will be much better for us longer term than like rushing to change things without even a few seasons of play under our belt with this kind of new system. But that being said, it's very much something that we are all looking at, right? And we are listening to all the community feedback as much as possible, and seeing what players are saying and how things are going in different leagues and the different formats and all that stuff. Obviously, like Royal Eagle and the support team have kind of led that it, in providing the feedback from the community, which has been fantastic. I've also been talking to people here and there personally. And so one of the things that's kind of a part of all that is the bots and battle helpers ban in modern and tournaments and brawls. One of the reasons I was always not such a big fan of making that change was because of this issue of it being very hard to actually police. And I know some of the community members had talked to me and saying, well, we just want to get it in the terms of service. And there was that proposal and we added it to the terms of service, and just saying, even if it's hard to police, just making it against the rules would probably be sufficient. Um, I didn't really think that was the case, and I think we're seeing that play out. Even though it's just against the rules, if it's not enforced, it doesn't really do anything. So, I have been personally talking to a number of people to try to figure out a plan to help enforce that better. Now, with bots, we do enforce that as much as we are able, and we do on a somewhat regular basis ban new bots that we detect from modern or from those things. I think we can do more and we can do better. The issue always, though, is that we have a very limited amount of resources in our team. So this is something the community specifically asked for. It's something I would potentially be looking for community and DAO support to help with that. So, that's something that potentially there could be some proposals for resources from the DAO to help detect uh, bots and particularly battle helpers. And I think one of the best ways to do that is also to work with the teams that create the largest bots and battle helpers directly to help detect them. So that's something we're looking at, and we've been talking to like the people behind Xbot in particular, and some others to come up with a plan for that. But so at a high level, yes, that's an important thing that the team is working on. I would personally like to see some DAO support to help us do that, but we do plan to enforce those rules more heavily going forward and work with the community on what the reasonable responses to people found in violation of those rules, how there can be, people can appeal those decisions and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff to put together, but we are doing that. So, look forward to that in the near future also. But that kind of also leads into the next issue, which is match liquidity, right? As bots were banned from modern, there's a lot fewer players in modern, which makes it harder to find opponents at all the different levels at all times of day. If we also crack down on battle helpers more heavily, then that's just going to make that problem worse. Now, ultimately, the match liquidity problem, the way to fix it is to get more players in the game. We've talked about clearly, like that is our main focus by far for this year. So my hope is that eventually, not too distant future, later on this year, we'll just be able to get a whole ton of new players in the game, and this issue goes away completely. But in the meantime, there are some ideas to figure out how to handle that. I mean, as it is currently, there's really only a few thousand players that play in Modern in total. So it kind of makes sense that there may not always be an opponent at every rating range 24/7 with that amount of players. So one of the options are that the DAO could vote to increase the rewards for Modern to encourage more people to play there. I think that's a reasonable option that could be considered. It could be just like increasing the rewards outright. It could be taking them from other places. But if you want more people to do something, one of the best ways to do it is to incentivize them to do that more with more rewards. And one of the things I wanted to note, which I put in the official updates a few days ago, is the rewards are also taking some time to settle in with the new system. So since players are getting a lot higher rating and getting a lot more reward points per battle and reward shares, it's kind of drained the reward pool initially, and I think we'll see that even out over the next season. So that's like I expect that the rewards will in SPS will increase, um, both just from that evening out, and then also the new reward system we're putting in place, I think should be more interesting and exciting for people to play. So one option, as I mentioned, is increase the rewards for Modern if we want more players. Another option is to work on something that we are already doing kind of with novice bots. So the company has some bot accounts that we play in Modern, to play against new players specifically, and make sure new players in Novice League have the ability to always match with a relatively bad opponent as they're learning the game. So one kind of easy solution potentially is if accounts are created that have a Hive wallet but don't buy the spell book, they won't earn any rewards, but they can play. So if it's something that the community is open to, the team could potentially work with bot operators or whoever to create a whole bunch of non-spellbook accounts. And it'd have to be a lot. It'd have to be probably like 1,000 or something like that, at different levels of cards, real cards in the account. So they would have to be rented or purchased or whatever. But make these accounts with these cards and have them operated by bots in Modern League. But since they don't have a spell book, they wouldn't take any rewards out of the pool. So they would literally only provide match liquidity. So again, as a player and community member, I think that's a great option. And there would have to be some funds spent to, whoever's buying those cards and creating those accounts and operating those bots are not going to be getting any rewards for it. So possibly the DAO and or the company could allocate some funds or cards or whatever to set up those accounts, and then just create artificial match liquidity in Modern without taking any rewards from the player base. So these are some ideas that we've been considering. And again, as much as possible, I would like to involve the community on these decisions, how they're implemented, and also how they're financed, along with the company for this. So these are the kind of things we're thinking about as far as bots, battle helpers, and match liquidity. But again, like I don't plan to rush into things. I plan to work with the community and the team, and figure out a good plan going forward and implement it the right way. And that may mean things aren't as great for a little while, until things are implemented and things settle in. So I would ask for patience from players, in order to get the right solutions implemented. And I also am open to ideas, as always, from the community. These are just ideas that we've come up with. But if the community has other ideas, always open to hear that. Last but not least, quick land update. As far as I'm aware, the DEC grain market is finished and in testing right now. So I'm not sure. I know there was a bunch of bugs that the team was looking into getting fixed up. I don't know, investigator, if we have any update of when that might be released.
Depends on QA testing. I believe the goal is to have it up on Mavs for public testing for a week at least before we release it. So probably not the 19th at this rate, but maybe the 2nd with everything else. Just what we need, another large update going out all on the same day.
All right. Well, we'll see. So maybe on that April 2nd release, maybe a little afterwards, but we can look forward to that market coming out, within a month or so, roughly. So that's exciting. And yeah, that does it for all of my kind of pre-prepared things I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to start with the pre-sorted questions. Oh, yeah, investigator, shoot.
Yeah, before we jump off, a couple of things I forgot,
Yeah.
or a couple of things I wanted to expand on. So, with the reward rework, we are currently looking at implementing the change for gladiators to be burnt for merits, which I want to mention again, since a number of people may want to make some decisions based off of that. So you'll no longer be able to burn them for dark energy crystals. They'll switch over to be burnt for merits, so you can get more gladiators. Um, Also, thank you, Nate, for remembering to give a shout out to Axer Twinblade for the support site work. I did want to mention that and I forgot. Uh, Hopefully, we will also be getting the start of moving the battle pages over to the new client on the 2nd, which is why I was also kind of laughing about another large project going out. So, ideally, if we don't run into issues, we will also be switching over the battle history, possibly the team creation, to the new client on the 2nd, especially because we need to redesign the battle history page for the new rework rewards. A couple of things I think you didn't touch on that are probably worth mentioning. Um, as part of the change, uh, we had a big discussion about whether the focus system made sense and whether it was interesting to play with. Nate was a very big proponent that it's not a good system right now. It doesn't really build player engagement. So we're going to be overhauling it. It's not, we're just going to remove it as it stands right now uh, with the initial reward rework, and then build a more interesting quest system for players where you would get the bonus glint for doing particular tasks, playing particular cards, something that's more engaging and interactive than just a play death. Um, so, a couple of things I wanted to mention. Since we're not going to have a town hall before we do the reward rework, hopefully I'm not forgetting anything else important, but maybe we'll get into that in the Q&A.
No, I'm glad you brought it up because you're right. But it would have gone live, and everyone's like, "Where's the focus? What's going on here?"
Well,
So
there will be at least a post detailing all the changes on our blog, which will include all these things. But it was definitely good to bring it up now. So yeah, just to recap, two other changes that are planned to go out with the April 2nd release with the new rewards is changing gladiator cards to be burned for merits instead of DEC. So if you want to burn your gladiator cards for DEC, you have a couple more weeks to do that. And the other one is we are going to be removing the focus system, which we feel doesn't really add anything to the game right now. And with the plan to create something more robust that does add to the interest and excitement of the game in the future. Okay, so if there's not anything else, I'm going to jump into the pre-sorted questions, but obviously jump in anytime, you guys, if you think of anything. The first one is about Koinos. Which for those of you who don't know about Koinos, they are a lot of the guys that used to work for Steemit, the company behind the Steam blockchain, which was the blockchain from which Hive forked off of. So myself and Agrod and a bunch of people in the community know those guys and have known them for a long time. And we think that Koinos is generally an awesome platform that everyone should check out if they haven't. And I know they posted on their 2024 roadmap a Splinterlands collaboration. That does not mean we are moving the game to the Koinos blockchain. We have no plans to move the game off of the Hive blockchain at all. But we do generally we do plan to do collaborations with as many other third-party blockchain and crypto platforms as we can. I've always said that I see all the other blockchains and NFT platforms and token platforms as like stores, and we want to get Splinterlands products in all the different stores that we can, just like we've done, with BNB Smart Chain with Wax and Atomic Hub and all those things. So Koinos is planning to have token markets and NFT markets, and we would like Splinterlands cards and assets to be part of those. And do possibly some type of cross promotions and things like that. So that is what Splinterlands collaborations means. The exact details are still TBD, but it's just something we would like to do with them if the opportunity allows. The next question is about gladiator cards. Has the conversion ratio been decided yet? Not 100%, but I do believe one, whatever they would be burned for DEC would just be what they would be able to be burned for merits. Seems to work very well. And so that's, I think, what we are looking at. Everything is subject to change before the final release, but that's the current plan right now is 1 for 1. So if it was a 100 DEC you could burn a card for, it would then be 100 merits. Question about scalability. Are we ready to scale? What about 5 or 10x on users or transactions? 100x? Are we going to repeat the same story the last bull run where lots of people came and left because of constant performance issues? So yeah, it's like a whole different ball game now. And last bull run, honestly, we had there was 5 people on the team doing all this. I was personally actually managing most of the servers and the development and all this stuff and customer support, and that was just a disaster that I was gonna say waiting to happen, but that happened. um, that did happen. So like and it's just a totally different situation now. Obviously, we have an amazing team that is doing an amazing job of keeping our servers running, and so I think 5 or 10x on users or transactions should probably be no problem for our current team. 100x, we'll see. But I believe that regardless of what happens, the people that we have working on it, who are 100 times better than I am and know what they're doing with this stuff, they're just ready to go. All of our things. I don't know if investigator, you want to shed some light on it. I don't know how else to say other than I am not worried about that at all.
Yeah, we had a lot more bots playing, so I think we could pretty easily absorb 5 to 10x in terms of accounts. We've been making performance improvements just because it's even with the current number of users, it's usually cost savings to us if we run things more efficiently, if we're not slamming our database with bad calls. We also have re-architectured a lot of the system to be scalable, so we can pretty easily just spin up more servers if need be. And a lot of that happens automatically if they start to get stressed. So I think we're in a lot better shape than we were last time to handle a large influx of users.
Yeah, it's like a whole different thing. The systems are unrecognizable. I don't even know how to touch any of the systems at this point, which is is much better for everybody. So yeah, last time I also did not at all expect what happened in 2021 and 2022. Now we expect it. I hope and expect another bull run to come, and our goal is to be ready, not just technically, which I believe we are ready, but with the product side. That's all the stuff we've been working on in the player experience. I just want to be 100% ready when that happens. And even if it doesn't happen, I want to be ready to go out and make it happen for us through marketing and promotion and other channels. So make our own bull run if we need to. Next question. BTC at new all-time highs means alt season is within months, historically speaking, of taking off. How prepared is the team for this event? I mean, that's kind of what I was just talking about. I don't know the timing of things at all. Could happen tomorrow. It could be a year out. It could be never. I don't know. But that is our main focus, is getting ready for all of that to happen. And obviously we're going as fast as we realistically can for that. The next question about bots. There's been intense discussion about XBot offering the Battle Helper bot in Modern, which is clearly violating the terms of service, and that there's proof of this been gathered. There seem to be many more bad actors using these things in Modern, which raises the question how we are identifying those and how we are what are the consequences going to be. Yeah, so I mean, we are the main thing is working with the bot and Battle Helper operators to work with them to not allow those services in Modern. There was nothing specifically in the terms of service or anything against offering those services in Modern. It was, it was just against the rules for people to use them in Modern. But regardless, so I'm also not interested in a witch hunt or anything. I'm interested in figuring out what the issues are, figuring out how to work them out, and solving the problem going forward. So we, as a team, are working with the operators of XBot and potentially others, um, to have them not offer their services where they are not allowed, and potentially also help us to detect if people are breaking the rules, in a way in which we don't have to, use our resources that are already uh, being used elsewhere. So that is something we take seriously, and we are going to do that. And then, as far as what are the consequences, I mean, the main consequences, you would be blocked from playing in Modern tournaments and brawls. And again, I want to work with the community to come up with, reasonable ways for people to uh, appeal those decisions, or be able to come back in, or whatever it is, and if they stop using battle helpers or bots or whatever it is. Um, when DEC Grain LP, we talked about that. Possibly on the April 2nd release. If not, it would be very likely that it would be the next release after that. So soon. Rewards overhaul. When rewards overhaul? April 2nd is the date for that. Obviously, everything is subject to change, but that is what we're shooting for. And that seems on track as of now. And is there any update on the rewards overhaul? The reward shop would be amazing. I agree. And skins profile pictures would be nice to have there. Yeah. So I 100% agree. We're going to get the reward shop out with kind of the current set of rewards first, and then the goal is over time to add in more cool stuff as it becomes available. Coinbase Binance listing proposal question. I haven't. I'll have to look at the actual proposal, but I'll reiterate what I said earlier, is that I don't expect that no matter what we propose, that Binance or Coinbase will list our token in the near future. I believe we need to do a lot of work on getting validators live and cleaning things up before that type of thing will be in the cards. And that is a project that we are going to start in Q2 very soon. And I know it's been something we've been saying, oh, that's going to be done by the end of this year, the end of that year, or whatever. I was also not the one running the company or in the position to push that as much as I would like. But that is one of my biggest goals for this year. But beyond the player experience, is to get those validators live, because I think that's just really big for everything that we're doing here.
Hey, Matt, so I
Yeah.
think in the spirit of the way the question was asked, I think they're probably looking like, do we, the team, or even as players or DAO SPS holders, do we think having more listings is a good or a bad thing? And I mean, like, I think that's a no-brainer. That's like,
Oh,
of course, listings is a good thing. I feel like, when some people ask me, hey, well, how do you feel about the listing? It's like, well, I approach it from, user experience, accessibility. If you ignore the pump and dump, and you ignore, oh, we're all going to get rich and wins the moon, just ignore all that and just look at it from, okay, if we're trying to get users, you have this industry and it's filled with pools like liquidity and bridges to other chains, and you got highways with on ramps and off ramps. And of course, the more pools and bridges and on ramps and off ramps you have, the more accessible that you make things to reach, for people to reach your ecosystem or not reach your ecosystem or whatever. And more marketing, which means the big billboards pointing, go this way, go that way, so that people know you're there. All those pieces, of course, they make a difference. Of course, they're going to help the user experience. I mean, I've played games where I tried to onboard onto their game and it was just a pain in the butt, and I gave up. There's too many hurdles to jump through, too many roadblocks. And pretty soon I say, I'll come back and spend time trying to figure that out later. And then I never go back. So I think, of course, if people are wondering, like, is the team or do people just not want list? Of course, I think most people want more listings. It's, I think what Matt, what you're trying to say is just that, hey, is like, is that a priority for the team, or is it something for the DAO? And I think what you're saying is it's more of a DAO thing, right? Or
well, it's both. So, like, one thing, like, as far as priority for the team, I don't actually think going out and getting listings Like, I don't think there's anything we can really do. We can't just go to Binance and go to Coinbase and get a listing. If that was doable, we would have done it. So, like I said, I think we need to clean up how our token works, get the validators live, and do all these things, and then it might be more of an opportunity for those listings to happen. Other types of listings that we could go out and just pay and get, or whatever it is, I don't really think are going to do much for us. I don't think the listings that have happened to date really did much for us. So I just don't think that's the best use, definitely, of the team's time. Obviously, the DAO is welcome to do whatever they'd like to do, and it doesn't hurt us. I don't think it's certainly beneficial. Uh, but also, I generally feel like the way we are going to be successful with getting new players in here, most of the players are not going to come through Binance or Coinbase. Like those people are generally the more crypto savvy people who can probably figure out how to get our tokens, even if it's more complicated. I really want to focus on all the people who are just going to come in to our website or eventually mobile app and play the game, and they're going to start earning tokens and putting in money and buying cards that way. So there's like two sides of the coin there. So what we're focusing on mostly is people coming into the game through the game, and that will lead to, you know, more money going into the ecosystem, more people wanting to get in through the token through external mechanisms. So yeah, that's what we're doing from our perspective. Is like we need those validators live, and we need to clean up the tokens things, but before we're gonna have any chance of getting big exchange listings. That's just my opinion. Um, and I apologize, Nate. I didn't see you specifically referenced on that question. I kind of like
Oh
skim
no,
them as I'm
I don't
reading
know
them.
why anyone would ask my specific opinion. Anyways,
Well, I think people should ask Nate's opinion more often. He does have the cool backwards Vonok hat, so um, last of the pre-sorted questions, and then we'll get to community questions from chat. Is about the ranked overhaul. In a recent video from Dwayne, there were people that were complaining about the increase in difficulty in modern leagues, like silver and gold, because they're often against max decks. Also, the number of battles in modern decreased recently from 22K to 17K, but the number of transactions increased a lot. Um, and it said that these things would be normal, would return to normal after a couple seasons. Yeah, so I mentioned this, but I'll reiterate, like, yeah, we need time. Like, we need a little more time, at least another season, to see how these things shake out before we make any conclusions yet. So we're gonna keep looking at that over another season or two. And see how things shake out, and then take our time to address things. But yeah, I agree. And we said this, things are a little chaotic at first. There are people, with max decks in lower leagues, and sometimes that's okay. They may be bad players and lose a bunch of battles. That's fine. And players that win all their battles are going to move up very quickly. So it's going to take a little more time to see that happen. Battles have decreased. I mean, there was an increase to the energy costs that might uh, be encouraging players to play fewer battles. Also, the rewards are currently very low until that works itself out after, in the next season or so. So again, we're gonna wait and see how these things shake out, and then look at it very closely and see what, if any, changes need to be made. Um, Okay, that is the end of the pre-sorted questions. Let's get started with questions from the chat. If we can get the official start message posted. Oh, Dave, you beat the official Q&A session open, but I will take your question anyway. Um, in from Dave McCoy, in relation to burning gladiator cards, what are your thoughts on the future unlocking of glad cards in a similar manner to the way you're preparing a plan for soulbound cards? Obviously, you might not know any specifics right now, but thoughts on the topic would be helpful as people are considering burning or not right now. Yeah, I mean, I think generally, I think of gladiator cards the same as the soulbound reward cards generally, which is at some point we should probably create a new set of gladiator cards. I don't see that happening anytime very soon. We already have like a ton on our plate. But at that point, I think it would be good to allow the older gladiator cards to be unlockable in a similar way um, as the soulbound reward cards, so they can be tradable, and then people can just buy or sell them. I think that generally is a good way of working the reward cards. So, and gladiators are a type of reward cards. They're a reward card for guild participation. So generally you participate and you play, and that's the only way to get these certain cards. It makes it so that there's extra incentive to play, and even whales that come in can't just buy all those cards, and they have to actually play the game to get them. And then once a new set of cards come out, then those old ones should be unlockable at a cost, um, so that then you know it's not like a new player that comes in has no way of getting those cards ever. That they're just available on the market. It's kind of like any cards. So I do see that happening, but there's uh, no timing on that right now. Um, Question from Extreme Player 63. I know you spoke earlier about the future of validator nodes, but I've been asking if Hardpoint is still working on them for quite some time. I was told he was working on them a little after Splinterfest. Wondering if he's still with the team. Yeah, Hardpoint is no longer with the team. He decided to leave on his own. Around the time, last September when we were downsizing and restructuring the business. So that was unfortunate. I really liked Hardpoint. Obviously, I think most of the community did. He just decided it would be best for him to kind of move to other opportunities. So no, unfortunately, he is not working on the SPS validators. No one has been for a little while now, but we have some people internally that have been kind of slotted in the plans to take that over, who I think will be able to do a really good job of it. So that's the status there, and I apologize if that wasn't communicated earlier. Question from Zai Tochi: Has the amount of conflict points to get a guaranteed third airdrop been determined yet? Uh, Not 100%, but we're looking at the current one. I think is 250 chances for guaranteed. I think the next one's going to be 275 chances, and I think going forward, you can expect an increase of about 25 chances per card. I think the first one was just it should have been more like 225 instead of 200, or yeah, 225 instead of 200. So that was a little on the low end. But now that we have a couple conflicts under our belt, I think increasing by 25 uh, per uh, per conflict is seems to be the right number to arrive at the amount of cards that are expected to be in circulation at that point. But again, the final numbers will be decided as we get closer to each conflict, and we kind of try to match it up with how many packs have been opened. So the circulation of those cards is roughly similar to the other legendary cards in the set. And for those of you who don't know, I think the fourth conflict card is going to be the first legendary summoner of the Rebellion set. And correct me if I'm wrong there. So I don't know, just mentioning that because that's very exciting. I think these legendary summoners are going to be super awesome, and hopefully like add a lot of extra excitement to the game, and especially to the conflicts. So as always, get your Rebellion packs and cards staked so you can get those. A question from VetV or VetEv. There are many Web3 gaming tokens listed on Sexes, centralized exchanges, Gala, Ronin, IMX Prime. What's the difference between those tokens, wallets, and SPS? Relative to your concern that a centralized exchange would not accept SPS because large in-game wallet holds a significant amount. As far as I know, most of the gaming tokens listed on those exchanges do not run a decentralized validator node network. Um, yeah, I mean, the main thing that's different is those companies have a lot more money, and that goes a long way. Like lots and lots more money, and they were also added like earlier on when in the last bull run when things were easier. So I think it's harder to get new tokens added now, and there's going to be a higher bar. And that's not the only reason that I want to have a decentralized validator node network. I mean, that's kind of, in my opinion, the whole point of what we're doing here and what we're trying to do. So I really want that to be done regardless of exchange listings. Um, but like as far as I can see from just other exchanges that we've talked to or things that we've seen as requirements, like the requirements are a little more strict nowadays than they were back then. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're delisting those tokens that got listed, but those companies raised tons of money and paid or did what they need to do to get listed back then, kind of regardless of how they're set up. And we're just not in that position yet. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I obviously wouldn't say no to those things, and if there's a way to make that happen, we would do what we can to help. I just realistically think that that's going to be hard for a while. Question from Kahel13. When can we burn our extra soulbound reward cards for glintstone reward points? Oh yeah, that we should be able. You should be able to do that on April 2nd, right? As part of the release. Is that another thing we forgot?
Yeah, that is part of the release. You'll be able to burn soulbound cards for Glint as soon as that system comes out.
Yes. So again, exact details will be in the post that should be coming out, before the actual change goes live. So thank you for asking that. So that'll allow you basically, if you have extra soulbound reward cards or ones that you don't want, you can burn them for glint and go spend that in the reward shop to buy new soulbound reward cards, and hopefully get ones that you want. Question from Quantum Nachos. He would like Nate the Great's personal opinion on what he thinks the future of land should be for players if he had complete control.
Jeez. Well, if I had complete control, you wouldn't have all the cool, amazing things that are coming with 2.0 because, I mean, it takes a Matt to come up with stuff like that. But at a high level, I would say that I do see eventually land morphing into the entire ecosystem. I mean, it's basically where all the different gameplay modes are going to live at some point. It'll be kind of like when you say, I want to go play rank play. Well, where? And you look at all of Praetoria and you see that, oh, this rank battle is happening over here, over there. Like, just even if it's just for fantasy flavor, I think that eventually land will encompass everything. So then what do we do with the thing we're calling land right now? Well, in my head, I usually refer to it as land production, which is just another form of gameplay that is happening within the grand ecosystem that will eventually just be all of land, right? So land production, I think is a pretty cool concept that Matt is spearheading above and beyond everybody else in terms of like, where does all this stuff come from? Matt continues to publish more white papers and add more to what land is becoming, and we all sit there like at bed, like he's in the rocking chair telling us a bedtime story, and the rest of the team's like, tell us more, Matt. So I think where it's evolving to is pretty darn cool, though, because it's not your typical gameplay. I mean, it really isn't. For those of you who are like, yeah, it should be like this and should be like that. I mean, we got to look at this a little differently. It's a form of gameplay that you don't really see very many places, which is essentially it's half owning your own business. You're owning a company and you are trying to make that company successful in a fantasy world, but it's also equal parts DeFi. I mean, it's like, right, we keep talking about centralized exchanges and listings and stuff. Imagine what DeFi looks like typically. It's a bunch of numbers and liquidity pools and technical sounding words. Imagine taking all that, but then skinning it with fantasy flavor and wood and ore and buildings and stuff. But yet having all the depth and all the economic maturity of a typical DeFi system, but in a fantasy world. That's crazy. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of how I see it: owning a business and also basically making DeFi fun for possibly a mainstream person who knows not much about crypto and blockchain, being able to make that reap the rewards of DeFi, but making it accessible to the common person. I mean, that's a pretty ambitious when you think about it, but that's essentially what we're doing. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm excited about what land is going to become as a whole, where with raids and boss fights and adventures and hopefully PvE. I'm a big, champion for hopefully story mode and player versus environment. I'd love to see someday collaborative play, where you can have a friends list and say, hey, you want to go in that dungeon, and you get your cards ready and you go off and adventure. I see this huge, ginormous world that land will someday become. But yeah, if we're talking about land, what we're working on right now, then I also see a really big place for that. I see that there will be something for everyone. And I think that what we're working on right now with the fantasy DeFi is going to be pretty darn cool for a lot of people, particular our primary demographic right now, which are mostly crypto enthusiasts. So if we someday the floodgates do open and we're overrun by mainstream users, then I could see a lot of our OGs spending more and more time in DeFi land, or what what we're working on right now. So anyways, that's me rambling on. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll comment that, like, clearly we are not there now. For anyone who's thinking, "Well, land isn't at all like that now." Like, yeah, I know. This is like the whole 1.5 thing was really just like, "Hey, can we make a way where people can utilize their land somehow and throw some cards on there and DEC?" And that's really all it is. Like, it is not really a game. It is very difficult as someone who has a significant amount of land plots for me to manage them or whatever. So, a big part of phase 2 is to make it more of a game with lots of more like decisions to make effectively. I mean, it's not going to be a game like Splinterlands. The battling is a game, but it's like just going to be a lot more decisions, and I think we're going to have a lot of work also on the user interface of the whole thing to make it just like really easy to manage your whole business at a high level. A lot of like one click options to like automatically allocate things different ways rather than going like plot by land plot. So like what we have now is just a like what could we get out there so people can start using this to some degree. Um, it's not at all like our vision for it. And the next question leads right into that is could we have Farpatrot on in the future to give us updates on land development? Yeah, I'd be happy to if he's available. Get him on to talk more about it next time. Um, and that was a question from Intrepid Surfer. Question from Rec Law. Is it possible to change or filter the top battle replays to showcase more alpha and untamed sets in wild format? It's boring to see both wild and modern replays showing almost the same lineup. Um, I get. I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't know that that's something we would necessarily work on. It's also a little harder to implement that filter. I think we'd have to kind of like go through all the different battles and look at what cards they use. That's possibly something a third party developer could work on. Um, but yeah, I just don't see that as something like we're probably going to spend time or resources on. Um, Follow-up question on rating system rank calculation. Is card power included in the current calculation? I don't believe that a collection power is included at all uh, in any way there. Yeah, we've kind of moved away from the collection power system, and instead it's about your staked SPS is how that's kind of so the more SPS you have staked, the larger multiplier you earn to your reward points. Question from Davey. There was a comment earlier that rewards would not go down as players ranked up, but the current SPS staking formula still incentivizes staying at a lower ranking. Has there been any thought to reworking the rewards formula so that ranking up doesn't reduce rewards, even if the growth slows down a lot? Well, I mean, yes and no. So first of all, still going to wait a little bit longer to see how everything shakes out. But the idea is that as you are playing and moving up, you are also earning more staked SPS rewards. So the idea is that your SPS staked should naturally go up um, as your rating goes up. So I would prefer not to change that, as I think having the SPS staking requirement is very important for the game. But like I said, after a few seasons of getting this under our belt and seeing what the real incentives work out to be, then we'll see. I mean, everything's always on the table to be reworked if it needs to be. Um, Question from Extreme Player. If we are thinking of removing focus points, how will this affect the Guild Lodge? That's a very good question that the team just brought up in our team chat recently. I don't know, Investigator, do you want to mention some ideas or what we're thinking?
So right now we've got a couple ideas we're tossing around. What were the most popular one seems to be going to a focus point per. Sorry, my dog is jumping in front of the camera here. Going with a per battle, like every X battles, you get a focus point. So something that kind of maybe 24 battles, you get a lodge point. The other thing that we could potentially do is tie it to purchasing reward card items out of the shop, because the card system is basically whenever you get your rewards is when it gives you your point for the daily focus. So those are the two ideas we've been tossing around. If people have other ideas they'd like to throw out, feel free to let us know. But we will probably be deciding on that shortly, I hope, so we can code it. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards the whole just like, certain number of battles is required because that was the idea of the lodge is just to encourage people to play every day. So this is effectively the same way to do that. Um, Longer term, though, we still need a guild overhaul. I know that's something we talked about last year. We didn't get to it. It's not the highest priority, but like that's that hasn't been forgotten about. It's just not been something we've been able to get to. But like longer term, I want to overhaul the whole guild, take more advantage of the guild power, and do all sorts of cool new things. And we'll get to that as soon as we're able to get to it. Question from All Meal: any updates about the colony airdrop for SPS stakers? No, I don't really know the details of that. I mean, that's a question for Agrode and that team. We kind of operate. I mean, we separated that into a separate company, and we operate that way. It's like it's a completely separate company and organization, despite having same ownership. So we are just 100% focused on Splinterlands and the stuff going on in Splinterlands, and feel free to ask that team in their Discord for more details about what they're doing. Question from Byzantinist. He just talked, Matt just talked about the importance of soulbound cards. However, removing the league limits in ranked have led to the removal of league gating in tournaments. And as a result, it gives massive advantages to higher league players, even in novice or bronze tournaments, because they have access to legendary soulbound cards that newer, smaller players do not. So the question is, how will you address this imbalance when a new set of soulbound cards come in? I don't have an answer to that because that's not something I have thought about, but I leave that open to you and Clay and other people to come up with ideas. And if there's something that you need the team to help out with to implement them or whatever, let me know. But it's not something I've put thought into yet. Question for Nate and Investi: at what SPS price do you think Matt should cosplay as Lily Shieldpaw during the town hall?
Wow. I don't think you guys do realize that Matt's my boss, right? Like that's gonna skew my answer a little bit. But I mean, if I told Matt that he had to dress like Lily Shieldpaw, then one day that means like for like, I have to expect him to ask me to do something equally troublesome at some point. So I don't know. Part of me wants to say 2.5 cents. Go, Matt. Go right now. Uh, I don't know. What do you say, investigator? I
yeah.
would.
Well, I would just
Hopefully
make
it's
sure
got
SPS
answered.
never falls to 2.5 cents.
So Matt did say that if SPS hits $1, that the team would cosplay on the town hall.
I'll do
Maybe
it.
not as Lily Shieldpaw. I don't know if we need to get that a little bit higher, but
Maybe Lobstradamus. That's
Oh
still
wow,
my favorite
that one.
character.
Yeah, he's a little cooler.
so yeah, we'll talk about it when the SPS hits $1.
Yeah, uh, that one I would be very, very happy to do. I could probably afford a pretty good a pretty good Lobstradamus costume in that situation also. Um, a question from Rye Crypto about the validator nodes. Are there any plans for the small holders of just a few of them to delegate for someone that runs? Yeah, I mean it's not expected that everyone who holds a validator node license is going to run their own validator nodes. So yes, there is planned to be ways for node operators to allow others to delegate their licenses to them. Um, we want to have a balance between obviously more nodes is better, but not also requiring everyone to run one that's like overly burdensome. So yeah, that'll be all figured out as we get closer to it actually launching. I also feel like this might be a good stopping point to kind of end the questions in chat, or maybe after like another minute or two, since I'm just saying it now. Everyone's had like a half hour so far to get in their questions. I don't know how many more there are, but just to make sure we don't run too long. Question from B Jangles: isn't a continual bump on required conflict points counterintuitive to the philosophical shift of only buy what you need? I've got a near max Rebellion deck, but won't get anywhere close to receiving a max copy airdrop of any of the summoners. Well, yes, then and no. So it is counterintuitive. Like it is something that encourages people to get more Rebellion cards, possibly than they need. So to answer that part of the question, yes. The flip side is that people are naturally getting more and more Rebellion cards and packs over time. So if we didn't increase the amount that for guaranteed card, then the number of cards for each airdrop would just increase and increase and increase and increase, and we'd have like way too many of those cards in circulation, which would make them less valuable. So that's why they're increasing. It's just because we plan to give out a certain number of them to keep them in as relatively same circulation as all the other ones. So I guess if the community would prefer that there are more of the cards printed, but they're easier to get, we could consider that. But it's a trade-off. And I guess I didn't say like there would literally be no reason at all to ever buy more Rebellion packs than you might need. It's just like we're not gonna like it's not gonna be like Chaos Legion where we like really, really push people to just buy ridiculous amounts of packs that they don't need. So I think, encouraging people to get some extras and some things uh for the conflicts is not that big of a problem in the scheme of things. And maybe you have a nearly max Rebellion deck, but that's not max, so you can use some more cards. You could probably use some more gold foil cards. So it's not even though you might not need them, it's not like literally you have a max of everything and all the rest of the cards are wasted.
We are still also, airdropping a set amount of cards. You may not be able to get a guaranteed max level card yourself from the airdrop, but you can buy those cards. You don't necessarily need to go buy more packs to stake to try to force it. It might be more cost efficient to just buy those cards after the airdrop happens.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. A question from Wolf, who, by the way, has created and runs splinterroyale.com, which you should check out if you haven't, because it's very cool. Question is, will it go to the exchange or the launch pool? I don't know if that's a question for me or that's a reply
He's
to
talking to
Clay
Clay.
Playpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, it was confusing because it says the question is, so I just like I'm just scrolling and looking for the word question. Okay. There's a lot of discussion. We should play some like scrolling music or something in the background. All right, here we go. Question from Clay. If we can pass some sort of proposal to decide on an unlocking fee for the current set of soulbound cards and agree to only use the glint system going forward, will the team honor that vote? Well, I mean, like, let's work together and figure that out. I have a lot of ideas and thoughts that I've put a bunch of time into on how that should work. So like I can't just say like yes, we'll honor the vote if it's like I don't know I don't know what the details of that are. So like but yeah, like let's talk, Clay, and anyone else who has ideas and thoughts, and we can put something together that hopefully makes sense. Question from Osku. Will there be chests with only legendary and maybe epic cards in the shop? This would make target farming cards, which are missing in your set, much smoother, especially as there's not much time left to complete the Soulbound reward card collection and make them much more expensive. Yeah, that's not the plan for the initial rollout, which we're pretty much is going to be like you can basically buy very similar chests to what you get now, except they will just have guaranteed reward cards and not the other stuff. But the numbers and chances of getting different cards are going to be roughly the same. But that doesn't mean that can't change. And so,
Well, the reward shop does change your ability to skew your likelihood of getting cards, because right now you have to be in champion to get a champion chance of getting legendary cards. With the new reward shop, you can save up and buy that more expensive chest without needing to be in that league.
right, but he's asking like, can we get one that
Yeah,
you
it's
are
not a guarantee.
guaranteed to get
I
epic
know.
and legendary? That's
It's
really
not
expensive.
guaranteed, but you can get a little bit better chance if you want to save up and spend
Yeah.
more glint. There
Yeah,
was a
I don't see
question.
why not though. And we just have to price it appropriately. So that might be something we could add too. We could leave the current chest options where you could buy like a champion chest that has a whatever 6 or 8% chance of getting a legendary card, or you could spend even more to get a guaranteed legendary card chest, possibly. Like we're kind of building that reward shop out in such a way that like it should be very easy to just add new stuff in, and I think more options are better. So yeah, that's something that I'll just spend some time thinking about, make sure it doesn't cause any problems, and see if we can get that priced appropriately. Um,
There was a question they skipped over asking if we could
Bummer.
see artwork for the next first legendary summoner, which I'm assuming is no, but it's from OCN right above Clay's one.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That Nate, do we have anything we can share? Or not yet.
What for the for the next summoner?
The
No, not
legendary
yet.
summoner, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have to wait a couple town halls when we're getting closer to that conflict.
Alrighty, there you go. You'll see that in a little bit. Where were we here? Question for investigator: what's your dog's name, and can we see them every town hall?
Dog's name is Bear, and yes, though he's better to be seen than heard. So I try not to keep him around too much if he starts barking. But yeah, I'd be happy to bring him on camera. Though he took off and is sleeping now. So.
Is it Archimus the bear?
No, it is Bear the dog.
Bear the dog. All
Yes, he
right.
does go up on his hind legs like a bear and try to paw at stuff.
All right, there you go. Bear the dog. Oh crap, my thing refreshed and now I lost the spot.
I
Does anyone
think
have
that
the
was the last
timestamp?
one.
Oh, it's the last question. Perfect. I think my Discord knew that. Um, all right, so I mean, we have a little bit more time. I would not be upset at ending a little early because got a lot of stuff going on. But I don't know. I'll put it to you guys, Nate and Investi, on the call. Is there anything you guys want to talk about or say that you're excited about or just want to mention to the community?
Hmm. I just what we've already been talking about. I mean, it's taken a little bit of time to get there, but you know, the better player experience is extending to the obviously the onboarding. It's extending then into the league and how you play the core game. It's extending to little bits of battles 2.0, where like even now we're looking at aspects of the onboarding experience where the tutorials talking about how to build a team and this, that, and the other, and we're scratching our heads thinking, well, crap, we kind of wanted to redesign this. We wanted to add more sorting and filtering. We wanted to do this. We want to do that. Tactics is changing things up a little bit. The closer we get to our battle screens being converted to vNext or the tech modernization stuff, opens the floodgates for what our devs can do or feel free to do in terms of addressing all the little assets we keep poking them about, like, hey, let's animate the battlefield, or let's go ahead and do this and do that, or let's make the background behind the summoners look cooler or different, or let's change the way that buffs and debuffs appear, and let's do all this stuff, right? Let's make the game look polished and beautiful and amazing. And there's so much to it. So I know that you guys see, well, Nate just showed that, or Matt just talked about this. Like, we're really trying to look at this holistically. We're trying to look at this the whole thing and say, look, by the time we get I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I hope you guys do too. And when we get through the tunnel and we come out the other side, there's so much more to celebrate than maybe people are thinking right now. It's just raising the production quality of the entire game, all of it, all the way up. And I think that when we do get out the other side, it's going to be awesome. It's not just for new players, as Matt keeps pointing out. It's the player experience, not the new player experience. I'm excited. There's going to be a lot a lot to celebrate, like I said. So I'm looking forward to it. I think 2024 is going to be big.
Yeah, looking forward to getting out the reward rework because I think that will make it a much better experience for people. I know that we pushed out the ranked changes without it, and I think it'll be a lot better feeling playing the game, where all of your wins, like you can see it giving you rewards, and you know you can go spend them on things that you need. Also, it's more in the background, but it is good that we're tech modernization is finally moving along again at a decent clip. Um, we've been jumping over pages, and hopefully we'll actually get that done this year so we can focus on a better mobile experience, which I think will really help out the game a lot. Hopefully it'll be a good year.
Yeah, we are very very focused this year. I guess if there's one thing that we really did not have in the past couple years that we have now, and that's my whole thing, is focus. No more distractions. All the different stuff in different games and all the cool stuff Aggroed is doing is that's a separate entity, and it is not distracting us from our goal, which is just making Splinterlands awesome and really going out and getting tons of new people in. So yeah, that's the thing. We're focusing. It takes time. I'm as frustrated as everybody about how long everything takes because I can see it in my head. Like I'm like, oh, I can envision this experience where people play on mobile or whatever, and I can just go show people when I'm out, like, hey, yeah, just download this app or go to the website, and they like go through the tutorial and onboarding experience, and they kind of get the whole thing, and they're one click, and they've rented a whole set of cards, and they're battling, and you know, um, and it's great, and then they're encouraged to put money into the ecosystem. Like I can envision it, and it's not there, and I know it's going to take a while to get there. But you know, no matter what happens, like we are focused on that mission. And being successful at that is going to allow us to do a whole lot more. It's going to allow us to really deliver on land, like the vision that Nate kind of put out there. And among other things that we want to do. So that's like, if I have one word for this year, it is focus, and that's what we're doing. So thank you again to everyone, to our community. Like, obviously, we would have nothing to focus on if it wasn't for you guys being here and playing the games and buying the cards and giving us your feedback and thoughts and ideas and criticisms, constructive, hopefully. So thank you, everyone. Like I said, I won't be available, so we won't be doing a town hall in 2 weeks, and we'll keep you posted on when the next one will be. In the meantime, let's get psyched for Kai. That's going to be released in about a week or so for the current conflict, and then the overhaul to rank rewards on April 2nd. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
This is a story.